It's moving. Oh, it's moving pretty quick. Oh God. Ready? Hello there. I've got another train to review. Now, I already did an episode a couple of years ago. I already did a review of this particular one, but for whatever reason, I decided to take it down because I didn't think it was terribly good. So I decided to do another one. As you can see, it's the Hornby Pendolino that was released, I guess, sometime in 2007, 2008, sometime like that. This one is the one that came in the DCC Ready set. And I've added to it with two more coaches. I think it's these two actually. So these four were the ones that came in the set. So you get a power car, you get a pantograph car, see with the pantograph up, that's pretty nice. You get a first class buffet car and you get a trailing car. These have working lights, which you'll see demonstrated in the running videos. I've now converted both of these to DCC so that they run really, really nicely, and I can control the lights, and they're very, very bright, these ones. Unfortunately, the one thing I've noticed is that the red lights aren't as bright as they are on, say, the recent Hornby HST or some of those other, some of their more recent models where they've done directional lighting. They're not quite as bright, but if you get right down to track level, you really can see them. So I think it's just the fact that they've got the particular types of lenses or something like that. Whatever the glazing is made of, it seems to only want to direct light directly out that way, and it doesn't really sort of shine it in all directions. But anyhow, let's get straight to it. So here's our power car. It's pretty. I'll move these back slightly so we can get them ordered in the frame. There we go. There's our power car. It's a pretty nice looking piece of equipment. What I really like about this one is that, in addition to having the tilting mechanisms, you might just be able to see it moving backwards and forwards there. So it's got a tilting mechanism. Oh no, this is the trailing car. That one's the powered one. But anyhow, they're both the same. This is 390-045. The Virgin stamp is really, really nicely done. It's even got the slight white outline, which is a really nice touch. And I really like the fact that on the windows, just as you do see on the real ones, they've got the Virgin Trains logo embossed on the window. You can just about make it out there. Even stuff like this funny little pattern along the side and the bicycle thing. And on the doors, they've got the destination plates, though of course there's nothing on them. Now I wonder if you could actually focus down and actually read those, whatever they say. There's probably like destination, car number, stuff like that, first class. You know, everything's just really wonderfully done. I'm amazed at the degree of how good manufacturing is now. Got all those little warning signs at the back there. Can show you the roof as well, which is pretty nicely detailed. Separately applied pieces. This venti thing, whatever that is. Oh, this light above the cab just there, that is really bright. That's like a searchlight. That thing. You'll see that in any weather. The one thing that's a slight disappointment with these is that there's no interiors. They've not got any seats inside, as far as I can tell. I think I've gotten inside this one, and there's no seats inside. So if you were to light it up, you wouldn't see anything but just an empty shell, unfortunately, because they do look pretty cool with when you can see inside them. Although, you know, the glazing is pretty dark, probably deliberately to hide the fact that there's no interior, so you can't actually see what's inside anyway. You'd probably have to have really bright light in order to see it. Wonder if somebody's done it though. As I say, it's a bit dusty, this one. This is the power car. This is pretty much the same, except this one is a first class car, and we've got the little 1 sign and the little first class emblem there. Which looks pretty good. That's about the only difference, I think. Also the little Virgin shield blade thing on the front there looks pretty good. Yeah, I really like this train. If there's one thing I like about it, is it's the kind of streamlined shape of it. I think I mentioned in my original review that, you know, we like to think that sort of streamlining is some sort of 1930s Art Deco thing which has more or less gone out of fashion. But actually, streamlining is now manifest in basically everything you see in the industrial design world, including cars and planes and trains now. You know, these are the essence of streamlining. They've got a very, very nicely molded body. The other thing is this was probably designed on a computer, I guess. I don't actually know who designed it. I think it was a French company. I know they're built by Alstom, but I don't know who the designer was. Anyway, let's get to the coaches. So this is the named coach that came with the set. This is a first class open coach. Now these coaches are pretty good to demonstrate the tilting mechanism. So you can see it at that angle. We'll just take a quick look at the nameplate. 101 Squadron. I think it's actually got the... There we go. You can actually see the crest of 101 Squadron. Just there. Look at that. That's beautifully reproduced. You see, and actually, I think the paint on these looks pretty good. It looks, you know, one of the things you notice sometimes is that the finish on a real train and the finish on the model are sometimes really, really different. Like the model will be really matte, will have a really matte finish, whereas the real thing will actually be kind of shiny. I think they've gotten this just right. If you look at this lengthways, especially in the light, it does actually look just as the real ones do. So let's have a look at the tilting mechanism. If you look, it's best to look at it sort of dead on like that. Now if I turn, you see how if I turn the trucks, you see how the whole coach kind of gradually goes from one side to the other. I'll just do both like that. It's actually pretty clever bit of technology. The other thing is that they've managed to do it so that the couplers stay pretty much level, so you don't have couplers lurching apart when they go around corners. So you see they've fixed that by having basically a vertical coupler type, which they've designed specifically for it, and it doesn't look half bad. Although of course, you know, it's not easily replaceable. You probably have to send off that exact type. Alright, next coach. Here is the Pantograph Coach. This is also a, I guess this is a first class one. It's first class Pantograph Coach. Now the only difference about this one is that it has the pantograph on it. I've got it up at the moment, but you can flatten it down. The funny thing is, in the real ones sometimes tend to go along with only about that much of it up, but on the model it sits very nicely at that sort of height, which looks pretty good. That's probably the height it would be going along on an express. line. Going into a station, they'd be further down because the lines are slightly closer to the track. So that's a very nice. They're extraordinarily free-rolling, these coaches, as you can see. There's barely any friction, which is what you want in something which is supposed to go a scale 125 miles an hour or whatever. Here's another one. Now, this one I got on eBay, and this is perhaps an object lesson in all things eBay. Now, the description wasn't really good enough for me to be able to tell what kind of car it was. It simply said it was a second class open. Both of those things turned out to be wrong. It's not a second class, it's a first class, and it's a nameplate car. So I actually have two nameplate cars. I'm not really considered doing anything about this because I don't really notice it, even though it's not particularly good. The other thing is that the condition of this one wasn't perfect. It's actually fairly scratched up, and I imagine somebody probably kept it rattling around in their sock drawer or in the footwell of their car or something like that, so who knows. Also, the window glazing has started to fall in a little bit, so it might be worth going inside there and fixing that. It runs perfectly though, so no real complaints. But yeah, make sure you get a thorough description. And then this is a second class open coach, pretty much standard, right? I mean, nothing. It's pretty nondescript. There's nothing much there apart from that it's got a big black stripe where the windows are. Same everything really. So I will attach some running videos to this. See you later.